There are many strange creatures in the rad-soaked wastelands of post-war America, but one of them stands out as being particularly strange: the floater. Floaters are a species of mutated flatworms that can be found in New California and parts of Appalachia. They are an offshoot of a West Tech experiment on flatworms in 2075. On May 9, 2075, a log on the FUV experiment disk at the West Tech facility, now known as the GLOW, states, "We infected several species of flatworm with FUV. Within hours, the worms had increased in size by 28%, and 39 separate viral contagions were resisted by the population. Each sample was allowed to continue for several generations, and the new DNA structure was successfully passed on to the worm's progeny, although only asexual reproduction was noticed in the samples. Experiments with insects have had less success. Major Barnett has postponed these experiments until further notice." Floaters are unique in that they were widely deployed along Unity forces, together with centaurs. Following the death of the Master, floaters became ubiquitous in the Central Valley of California, preying on unwary travelers entering the region. They are common in Appalachia, but scarce elsewhere. On the west coast, they are soft-bodied invertebrates, named after the flotation sacs that allowed them to hover in air. Noxious, flammable gases are generated by the creature and stored in the flotation bladders, giving the creature its distinctive appearance and ability to hover. The sacs are of various sizes and dangle along the underside of the mouth. As the flotation gases are highly flammable, energy and flame weapons are notably effective and may cause the creatures to suddenly combust. The primary mouth comprises a majority of the top of the creature's disc-like head. Surrounded by sharp teeth, the funnel-shaped aperture can be radially opened or closed. A long tentacle is able to rapidly protrude from the mouth, ending in a prehensile cross-shaped maw. When a floater attacks prey, the head lowers with the mouth pointing directly towards the target. Its tongue-like tentacle maw is abruptly launched forwards, spiraling through the air while grasping at the target. A smaller mouth, denoted as the foremouth, appears as a slit running from the bottom brim of the head into the gaping primary mouth. Despite its awkward and uncoordinated appearance, floaters are incredibly fast. Aided by flotation sacs, the creature uses its flexible body and tail to slither and propel itself along the ground. At the base of the head, floaters have an ovipositor used to lay eggs, although only asexual reproduction was observed in the original FUV samples. In place of a brain, floaters have a rudimentary ganglion inside the bow of the head, similar to non-mutated flatworms. The pathways are sufficient for the creature to recognize prey and members of its pack, but leave them unable to work in cohesion. Floaters often haphazardly swarm any target in sight, making them tenacious adversaries despite their relative simplicity. Appalachian floaters have a single mouth consisting of an upper jaw and two large mandibles, each lined with sharp teeth. A remarkably long tongue is kept folded in the mouth. While attacking, the tongue unfurls and shows that it is lengthy and roughly the same size as the rest of the floater's body. Unlike West Coast floaters, the creature's mouth lies on the front of the body rather than horizontally on the head. Above the mouth is a large, singular eye with eyelids capable of blinking and squinting. Multiple smaller eyes are dotted around the head, although only two others are capable of independent rotation. Each floater variant has a different eye color and pupil shape. Gnashers have bright green eyes with cross-shaped pupils, Flamers have yellow eyes with vertical rectangular pupils, and Freezers have bright blue eyes with thin horizontal rectangular pupils. The main body is conical, with a thick torso tapering into multiple tentacles that wrap around the central tentacle. Two squid-like tentacle arms extend from the sides of the torso and reach down roughly half the length of the body. A single tentacle denotes the tail, protruding from the back of the main body. The torso and limbs are covered with groups of pulsating growths called pus sacs that are used to store volatile chemicals used in combat. The head consists of a single balloon-shaped flotation sac mounted above the eyes. A central ridge of hard material runs along the top of the head. The sac continually pulsates, expanding and contracting as the floater hovers, similar to the growths seen on the body. The vein-covered head emits a glowing radiance easily seen in the dark. When killed, floaters bring their arms to their heads and emit a loud shriek as the flotation sac violently expands. Upon rupturing, the explosion spreads volatile entrails in a circular radius, leaving a lingering pool of pus for a short duration. Only one variant of floater exists in New California and is frequently encountered in packs. The Unity harnessed floaters for use as war animals, accompanying patrols across the wasteland and protecting key locations in their domain. After the fall of the Master, packs of floaters and centaurs began to appear across the Central Valley, with another being used by the Enclave to deny access to the navigational computer on board the PMV Valdez. There are 3 types of elemental floaters in Appalachia as of 2103, generally encountered in groups and frequently found alongside super mutants who consider them friendly and treat them as companions and attack animals. Floaters were planned to be a part of Fallout 3 in early development, and concept art for it was drawn up, featuring 3 different variants: a man-o'-war version, a tendril version, and a needle-tooth variant. It was also considered for Fallout New Vegas, but Josh Sawyer would elaborate on it being cut on Tumblr. I think floaters are cool critters in the Fallout universe, but, like centaurs, they have really weird bodies that require unique animation rigs. From an animation perspective, limbless flying things tend to be really cheap, usually. Human-like bipeds are cheap, quadrupeds aren't too bad, but once you start getting into creatures with multiple heads, snake bodies, tentacles, etc., they get really expensive. If I recall correctly, we talked about having floaters, but we just didn't have the animation time for them. They appear in the files for Fallout New Vegas, but only feature the Centaur model as a placeholder. Concept art for Fallout 76 shows they had different elemental versions of the floaters having entirely different shaped bodies. But due to the complexity of animations required for these creatures, I can see why other derivatives wouldn't have been implemented. Between the adverse effects of centuries of radiation or the unpredictable effects of the FEV virus, it's no surprise that a creature as strange as the floater exists. One can only wonder what other strange creatures we will meet in our travels.